Hello, entertainment enthusiasts. This is Ray. This is the Fandom Realm, and today I am bringing you some new content. We are going to talk about the fact that I just got back home from seeing Dune Part II. Now, with that, before I get started, I do want to say, you know, if you're sticking with the channel, I so appreciate it. There's been so much going on here lately. The last couple of weeks, the dog has been spent a week in an animal hospital for some issues, and she's back home, and I'm happy. And hopefully, we're gonna get that Heartstopper video done before Young Royals comes out in about 10 days. Okay. So with that, this video is because I have gone out and seen Dune 2. I just want to tell you this is not really meant to be a spoiler video. I'm just here to talk about sort of what I thought to start out with the video, to start out with the movie. So I want to start out by saying this was one of my most anticipated movies in a long time, and it didn't disappoint. I will say I've heard a lot of people out there, some critics, some folks saying how this was maybe the best sci-fi movie in years, or at least this generation. And I don't know that I would actually go that far. I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But we'll see. History will tell. But I really enjoyed it. And, I think you will too. I'm going to start out first and just go over a couple of things that just sort of jumped out at me as things that not necessarily I hated about the movie. They were just things that I was like, ugh, this keeps it from being like a perfect movie for me. Okay, the first thing is, and this might be something that is because it was shot in IMAX and putting it on a smaller screen. The movie theater I was at did not have a huge screen, actually, but it definitely wasn't IMAX. And you have a situation there where basically there were some scenes that I felt looked a little wonky, especially with the sandworms and the Freeman riding the sandworms. There were just a few shots of that, and it looked a little wonky to me. Maybe that's because of how it was shot or the transition, but it just looked a little looked like you did this for hundreds of millions of dollars. You could have afforded a little bit better of a shot, but that might be because of that transition. The other thing, while I thought the writing was excellent, there were several times where I thought maybe I needed just a little bit more, especially from the character of Princess Irulan. I liked her character, but there were times where I thought maybe another sentence of dialogue or two would have sort of gotten me a little more interested in her character. But it's a very good character, and she's very well played. But there are a couple of characters like that that I thought needed to be just a couple more lines here or there would have worked. Along with that, I don't think the length was the problem, but this thing is going on 3 hours, and if your movie theater is like mine, you're going to be stuck in there for over 3 hours. I'm going to tell you, Regal Cinemas, stop. This is my rant right now. Stop. I was in that movie theater at 8:15 when the movie was supposed to start, and at 8:15 it did not start. You did not even start commercials. Commercials started at 8:15. Preview started at 8:30. The movie didn't start until about 8:45. So with that, you got to stop that. I am probably not going to go to Regal because of that again. Now, moving on with Dune, I think next what I'm going to do is just go over some of the nuts and bolts of what I call it when I look at a movie. And that's the things like cinematography, writing, directing. And I thought all those were really good. The music. There's very few movies out there in the last 10 years that I think the music was this well composed. I think definitely you're looking at an Oscar nomination there. When we talk about the writing and probably an adapted screenplay, um, you know, those are Oscars that I can very easily see this movie going for. Another big one, cinematography. The way this movie was shot was breathtaking. It was just the scale and the scope of this movie was, I mean, it was just huge. You know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and very often we don't really, I think, in Star Wars and even in Star Trek, get the scope of how big things are, especially when people are in space. And that's something that I think this movie has no problems with. When they're standing on those dunes out in the desert, and they're looking back in at something like the capital city or something like that, you can just sort of see the size. And then at the end, when the Emperor comes in and his army, and you're sort of looking at it compared to all of the sand and the desert, man, the scope and scale is just crazy, and you get to see how large everything is, and the spaceships and just everything like that. The scope is just huge. Let me go to probably my favorite part of the movie, and that was the acting. Okay, now I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to start out with him. He is one of my favorite current young actors, whatever age Timothy Chalamet is. But man, he did a great job. I don't think I've reviewed any of his other movies, but I love him as an actor. I think he's awesome. I know a few people out there aren't big fans, but man, he knocked this role out of the park. While he did a great job in Dune Part 1, man, this is definitely, I will be totally disappointed, and I will not watch the Oscars if he is not nominated next year for his role as Paul Atreides. The transformation he went through, the emotion, it was awesome, and I really enjoyed his performance. And man, I want to go back and see the movie again tomorrow because of his performance in part. Okay, so his performance was awesome. Zendaya, like I said, I don't do a lot of movie things here, but if I did, you would know I'm not a huge fan of Zendaya. I think she's very dry most of the time, but I thought she did a really good job here. I thought we got some really true emotion from her, and she wasn't as bland. I did not like her in Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't like her character's MJ there. She's just very too basic for me. Moving on, if you look at Javier Bardem, I think he was even right up there with Timothy Chalamet as Stilgar. He was excellent, and I think both Timothy Chalamet and Javier had to be right there acting next to each other. Lead actor, supporting actor. I think maybe Javier maybe deserves an award just a little bit more than Chalamet does, but they were both excellent. Moving to a couple other characters, Rebecca Ferguson as Paul's mom. I would have liked to have seen more of her. Okay, I think one of those things in the first movie that I really liked, and this goes to the movement we've seen to try to get women in warrior positions and things like that. And it's also something I did like about Zendaya's character is they're keeping them as women and their femininity. I think sometimes when they're writing some type of very uh, strong, powerful woman, they take away some of the femininity of the role, and they don't do that. Rebecca Ferguson, I thought in the first movie showed that she did a very good job here. I didn't think we saw enough of her in this movie. I would have liked to have seen more. Along with that, we have, of course, finally Princess Irulan is introduced, and you know, I've always liked this character. We do, and this is sort of a spoiler. We do, of course, get something of a voiceover from her. It's sort of like the voiceover going back to the original Dune movie, but she does a really good job. Pugh is one of my favorite younger female actors, and again, she exhibits that power and that confidence while still being feminine and not doing some of the things I think movie makers have trouble with writing strong female characters. So I thought she did really well. Skarsgård, great as Baron Harkonnen. Again, not a ton of lines, but what he had was really good, and I was really, really, really looking forward to finally seeing Fade Ralpha come in to the fold. And man, Austin Butler did a great job. Again, I was hoping we would get more of Fade. His role. If you're looking for him in the first half of the movie, you're going to probably be a little disappointed. But his role, once he comes in, I loved his introduction and how that happened. You have to sort of smile for it, and I really loved the way the Bene Gesserit tested Fade. And I'll just leave that at that. So the acting in this movie was excellent, and I think there's going to be multiple nominations for this cast for Oscars next year. Probably a bunch of other awards too. I think it's definitely going to be one of the candidates for Movie of the Year. A lot of people loved Oppenheimer. I'm not a big fan of Oppenheimer. I thought it was a good movie, but I thought it was overhyped. I think Dune Part II is steps above Oppenheimer. So I'm looking forward to see if it can go out there and maybe get a big awards haul. Only problem is, we haven't done the Oscars for this last year yet. So it's awful early in the season, and lots of movies made this early don't get a lot of recognition. But we'll see where it goes. This is definitely, as I said, one of my favorite movies. Probably my number 2 movie behind Spider-Man No Way Home. Been looking forward to it for a long time, and I cannot be happier with the movie and the way it turned out. So go out, take a look at Dune. I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. It's probably not going to be for everyone. I will say a very interesting point. The theater I was in was, I haven't been to this theater much, but the times I've been, and there's the number of people that were there, usually turns out to be a good box office. The only interesting thing was, is this going to get to where people want it? Because there was not one woman in that entire theater. Okay, now there might have been 60 people in there, but this was a Thursday night. But that sort of concerns me because, with just everything that's going on, I would have thought probably a little more well attended by the ladies. But other than that, that's the only thing that really worries me. I think it'll have a really nice box office. It would be nice to start the movie season off in 2024 with a big blockbuster, maybe approaching a billion. I don't think it'll probably make a billion, but I mean it's definitely a better movie than Dune Part One, and it should make more money. So go on out, see Dune 2. Write in the comments what you think. Do you agree or disagree with me? And you know what? We're going to see you next time here on the Fandom Realm. Thanks, and see you next time.